think that's the first time I've walked onto stage without my violin. And definitely the first time I've walked onto the stage with a scythe. So I thought today maybe I would talk with you a little bit about cutting grass. Cutting grass with an Austrian scythe, for me, has been healing. It has been an activity that has helped me center myself in mind, body, and spirit. It's interesting when you're on the road, like Greg mentioned, how out of balance things can get. I remember when I started touring, the feeling that I had to try that restaurant, I wanted to meet this person, and balance was extremely challenging. When I was touring in California, I found it especially difficult because In-N-Out Burger was always around the corner. And I made myself a deal that I was going to start taking care of my body better while I was on the road. So the deal was I couldn't go to In-N-Out Burger unless I also did an hour of insanity in my hotel room. I found that when I did the hour of insanity, I didn't really want to go to In-N-Out Burger afterwards. I found that these healthy choices that I was making were making other choices easier. So here I am back in West Virginia, and one of the first things I did was fire our lawn crew, and I started scything my grass instead of mowing it. And I found that at first, it wasn't just a body experiment anymore. It's definitely a workout when you're mowing through tall, heavy grass that your neighbors may or may not think looks good. But it's an excellent workout, and I have trouble actually talking while I do this because I noticed that over time my mind started to get clearer and clearer while I was doing it. It was like I was dumping like all the thought, all the conscious thought that runs through this insane musician's mind over and over again was just kind of melting away. I also noticed that when I was doing that, I was communing with nature in a different way and spirit in a different way. And this kind of mind-body-spirit connection all of a sudden was happening in one activity, which for me was kind of a big deal because I don't know how many people in this room take care of themselves on a regular basis, but I'm guessing you've all exercised at some point, maybe recently, or have taken care about what you're eating, or have spent time meditating, or have spent time going to church or a house of worship, or spent some time communing with nature in some way. And I was feeling really stressed out that I had to get all this stuff done every day to take care of myself. It just wasn't working. And I found that in this one activity, it was working, and I said to myself, why is it working in this one activity? Why does it not work for me to sit down and do yoga for an hour, or sit down and go to the gym? I mean, I want to eat well. I want to do all that stuff. I want to meditate. I want to be with the higher power. But it wasn't working for me in individual activities. So I found this one activity, and while scything, I figured out what it was that was working for me. It was three things, actually. Three very important things. The first is that maybe you're not like this, but I feel like when I'm doing something, if I'm creating some sort of value, then it's a good thing. For me, creating value could be saving money, making money, helping somebody. I'm sure you all could think of different ways of creating value. Saving the earth from gasoline running mowers, etc. All sorts of value that I was creating. And that was working for me. At the same time, I noticed how inefficient this tool was. It's actually a really efficient tool, and I will sing songs about the scythe one day in concert. But compared to the gasoline mower, it's not particularly efficient. And the inefficiency is what actually makes it work so well for me. The inefficiency means that I'm not expected to get my whole lawn mowed in one day. The inefficiency means that the lawn may not look perfect when it's done. The inefficiency also means I don't have to rush so much. So if I want my workout to be a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of difficulty and exertion, I can scythe like this. Full range of motion, feels great. If I want a 9 out of 10, I can really reach in. It feels great. It's still inefficient, and I'm cool with that. The last part is kind of the key for me, and that it brought me some sort of pleasure. So much so that I found myself wanting to go out and scythe. I don't know if you want to go out and cut your lawn, but I'm like really excited to do this. I'm really excited to get outside and cut my lawn. And I felt guilty about that, because if it was something that I was really enjoying doing, how good could it be? How good was it for me? How good was it for anybody else? So I'm kind of learning a lot about myself through doing this. And I started talking with some friends about this idea that possibly this creating value, an inefficient activity and a pleasureful activity could help bring that mind-body-spirit connection together into one activity, one pleasureful activity. And I started finding friends of mine that said, this is wonderful. One of my friends texted me the other day and said, I just completed a session of mindful wheelbarrowing. That was inspiring. Another friend of mine, we were talking, he's an artist. He draws in pen and ink, and he is very meticulous with his backgrounds, so much so that each black background is never made up of a big paint-brushed background, but each background is made up of thousands, or probably hundreds of thousands, of miniature strokes with the pen, one right next to the other. Tedious work, right? If I asked you to do that, you probably would not want to do that. But he wanted to do that. He got very excited by doing that. He said that he loves it so much that his family is running out the door, and there he is, like, one more, one more, one more. And I appreciate that, because that kind of pleasure keeps us engaged, it keeps us involved, it keeps the mind, the body, and the spirit all working. I would invite you to look at activities in your life that possibly could be done faster, could be done better by a machine or by somebody else, and look at ways that you could involve mind, body, spirit into value-producing, inefficient, pleasureful activities. Now, before I go, I want to make sure that you understand that if you mow your lawn, you have another option. You don't have to use a gasoline mower. You can use a scythe. And I thought that before I went, I would show you how to sharpen a scythe properly. Because you do have to sharpen it about every 5 minutes. And it's important to understand, I don't want to be the first TED speaker ever to cut my finger off on stage, but that it's not just about the stroke. There's actually a ritual involved that maybe I'm the only person that has come up with or not, I'm not sure. But if you live in a place where other people can see you, it's important to go to that place. Like the edge of the road when the cars are driving by. It's best to do this while the sun is just set behind you and the sky is blue. If it's chilly, definitely put your hood on. And you will notice as you're doing this, take your time the first time. When cars drive by, you can see them. They will slow down. And they'll look you in the eye. And it's just great to just give them a little wave like that. Thank you very much.